Hello and welcome to PC Mag's live build show. I'm Matthew Buzzy. This is John Burek. Today we're going to build a $1,000-ish, not exact, give or take some change, gaming PC. It's a lot easy. It's easy to spend a lot more than that on a gaming PC. It's possible to spend less than that, but this is a great value, sort of power and performance. We went kind of RGB heavy on it just for fun because it looks nice and you're going to be looking at it. So excuse all those shiny lights. Hopefully that exists when we're done. John, anything to add to this concept?
This system that we're going to build out here was about $1,000. I mean, it was about, what was it,
$1,022, and then there's some rebate action, which...
Right, and prices go up and down, so this is going to vary a bit, you know, probably $50 to $100 either way, depending on when you're looking at your e-tailer of choice. Yeah. So, estimate about $1,000. We also have a couple of surprises that we're going to stick in at the end that we didn't include in the $1,000.
Yeah, these are more. We happen to have these around, and it's kind of silly. So
yeah, why not put them in there and just light it up, right?
Yeah.
So
we'll walk you through the components as we go. Kind of obviously the case is a big part of that. If you have any comments or questions, Social Pete is sitting by watching the comment section, and he'll read anything you say out to us so we can answer your questions while we're building. This will obviously take a bit of time. We're not going to try to super rush. We're not going to make it take forever also. So hang out, come watch, grab a drink, and we'll be building.
Yes, definitely ask us what you think, because we'll be learning this as we go. So
will it work?
Settle in.
Let's find out.
We'll find out. So what did we pick here, Matt?
Yes, this is a case from Lian the Alpha, and it's on probably of our build. This is maybe something that's not of the best value, but like I said, you're going to be looking at it a lot, and we kind of wanted to make it fun to look at. So. We got this for $129.
Yeah, $129. I mean, it actually is a fair value in that it has 3 RGB fans built into it. So if you wanted to really bling out a case, you would actually have to pay extra for that afterwards. And you've got plexiglass on both sides, tempered glass, I should say, not plexiglass. So as we work our way through it, we're going to actually figure out firsthand, since we haven't built something in this before, how ergonomic or not it is as a
it looks simple-ish. It looks we've built in more complicated cases.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, there's a lot of visibility around all the sides. There's glass everywhere. So
there's also a lot of like built-in bars and things. So we'll work around it.
As you'll see when we get further on, there's glass in the back too, and the back is usually where we hide all the sins we've committed.
There's no hiding here. No,
there's no escaping your past here. So
yeah, your crimes are known.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start moving stuff out of there. We'll talk about the rest of the stuff as we get to it. Yeah, like I said, $1,000. So you're not going to see crazy high-end components, but I think we did a pretty good job.
Yeah, the one sort of high-end-ish component that we did include is a GTX 1070 video card, which frankly is about 40% of the build budget right
Yeah, we definitely made some concessions on other things to get that included, because we first budgeted for a 1060, and it just kind of felt underwhelming putting a 1060 in after all that effort. So
especially such a big, nice, sort of blinged-out case.
Yeah.
Yeah, so $400 of the $1,000 goes towards the video card, and that would be very good for playing games at 1080p all out and not worrying
dual
about
monitors. If you have a 1440p monitor, obviously a 1070 is even better. This is the case. Let me rotate that front towards you. So you see these RGB fans we're talking about. Voila. And so those will hopefully light up when we're all done.
Yep.
If we did it properly.
Yeah. So what I think we're going to start with is. We've got to get the glass off the sides of this thing, right? Because while we're operating in here, we want to...
Easy, toolless job is these hand screws come right off.
Yep.
Only 4 of them. It is actual glass, so we'll try not to break it.
All right. We will take this and put this in a secure location.
Safe location.
We're in.
And that is what we're working with.
So that's our installation side, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
This is sort of the back, but like you said, it's all glass, so there's no hiding.
All right. Support this. So yeah, really easy to get the sides off this. You just need to, like with any tempered glass case, we've already broken a couple. Support it from the bottom when you take it off.
Yeah, or else the door just goes clattering to the ground.
Right, and you're sweeping up broken glass.
There's there's plenty of screws and stuff inside.
Oh, okay. That's the accessory kit?
Yep.
All right, I'm just gonna put these over to the side.
Yeah, we don't want to lose them.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of these things on the table. All right. Move this out of the way. Oh, actually, so let's think about what we're going to do here.
Some order of operations.
What's the best thing to put in first, motherboard or PSU? You think in this one?
Maybe the PSU.
Okay,
I think that might be the move.
So let's talk about the PSU then. So Corsair makes this PSU. This was $50 on the e-tailer that we chose to buy this from.
Yes.
There's a $20 rebate on it, so $30 ultimately.
Get your money back.
Yep, and that helped us hit our build budget. But still a pretty, capable power supply. It does not have removable cables. That's why it hits the price point. But
it's not one of those gold, platinum rated fancy ones. It is enough watts for the stuff we picked, as we'll talk about, 650 watts. So it'll do the job.
Yeah, it's got a bit of overhead. Basically, I think a 500 would have cut it, but we figured,
Yeah,
you know,
overhead never hurts.
Yep. Okay. So
And on this build, so you'll see there's a shroud here that kind of, while John unboxes that, there's a shroud here over the PSU to hide it, to keep this nice, clean, white look. We determined that the way you actually get this in is through the back case. You just kind of slot it into the side, and then obviously it'll face out the back for power. And that is kind of the whole thing. This also, I noticed, has a fan grate, as so many cases do, to remove when you collect dust after many months of playing.
all right. So here we go. So the question is, how do we install this? We should probably actually let's put it back the other way so the studio audience can see what we're doing. Yeah, sort of like that. So if you want to insert that, I believe that we're going to go in this way.
That makes sense.
Yeah, we'll make sure that the screw holes
So this
line
is the
up.
face. Yeah, this is the face out the back. So
Right. The vent actually going out the bottom there.
here we go.
Okay.
All right, kind of.
Kind of. There we go. Yeah, looking good. All right.
This bundle of cables is just.
Yeah, you may need to undo that first. In the meantime, let's get our.
There's a
Get
drive bay here. We actually only have SSDs, so we don't even need that. But it's in a way we could actually remove it because we don't.
Go for it.
We don't even need
if
it.
you think we need to. All right. Yeah, there's quite a bit of modularity going on here. It looks like we can take off the shroud
I don't
behind
hate it.
there and the SSD cage here.
Goodbye.
So oh, excellent. Okay. All right, our first victim.
Kind of wanted to toss that over my head, but
There we go. All right.
so I think that's in. I think
All right, let's see if the screw holes line up.
that's as in as it goes. How's that look?
Looks like it's off by about an inch.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's shift it over
I can't
towards
see.
this way.
I'm just shoving.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's see. Actually, it needs to be on. There's a couple of rails inside of this case. They're little rubber rails there. And it looks like the PSU needs to be placed on top of them.
Okay.
So if you could,
I see.
Yeah, if you sort of center it on those, and then it should line up. There we go. Keep going. Keep going.
How's that? Yes, adjacent.
Maybe. Yes, that's it. All right, so I'll screw this in, and in the meantime, if you could just press against it, so I have some resistance for the first couple of screws.
Screwing in the PSU, not the most glamorous thing, but obviously pretty essential.
Right. So we have 4 screws that go into the back here, through the back of the case. And ultimately, when we fire this thing up, we'll plug the power into the power supply here. So I think what we'll probably do is leave those cables down on the bottom there.
Yeah, I think these will hang out for now because you know there's nothing to plug them into yet.
Yep.
We have a question.
Bring it on.
We have someone yelling that you need to put the motherboard in first.
Maybe.
I mean, we will find out.
I don't really think that's necessarily essential. I could easily agree with that order of operations.
Yeah, I mean, it is arbitrary. It depends on the case that you're working in. In some cases, yes, I would agree.
Once we rotate this and put it down, now we don't have to pick it back up to do the rest.
Yeah.
We might leave it horizontal for a while. I don't, unless there's something in this case that we're not seeing, I don't see why you would necessarily have to put the motherboard in first.
Yeah, I agree. We will find out.
If we made an error, we owe you $1.
There we go.
Is it
There we
in?
go. Yep, we're all good.
Okay,
All right.
so as you can see, that's
All right.
all nice and in there. I'm going to flip this case.
All right, very good. All right, we'll feed the cables through later when we're ready. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. This is it's like a power.
Looks very roomy now that it's
Yeah, now that it's down and open, yeah. So there we go. All right, so let's
center this with the camera.
Yes, all right, do that.
There we go.
Excellent.
All right, we're good.
All right, so there's our fan filter came out there a little bit. Okay, so what do we got? Motherboard. Looks like that would be the next order of operations here.
Yes, or the first if you're the one viewer.
Yeah. All right, what do we have here? So we chose an MSI motherboard here, which is called the MSI B360-A PRO. And Matt, would you like to address why we went with a motherboard that begins with B360?
B360, yes.
Instead
So
of Z370.
For a while, you could only do the Z370 kind of pricier boards with the 8th gen chips, but Intel eventually allowed these B360 boards to be born into the world, and now we can. They're mostly for affordability. A lot of them are sub 100. This one's what's on the sheet there? I forget what we got it at. Around 80.
Yeah, 80 on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, when we
Nailed
got
it.
it. Yeah, so the key thing about B360, the chipset, is that you can't overclock it, and we are going to pair this with a non-overclockable Intel chip.
Which, for a build this price point, I hope that you're okay with non-overclockable. As we said, there's not always the highest end parts when you're trying to stay around $1,000.
Yep.
So non-overclockable just for gaming, probably fine.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, fully agreed. All right, so you know what we're going to need is the thing that goes in here, the I/O plate.
Yep.
So I'm just going to lay this down. Actually, where's the? Here it is. Okay. So lay this down.
Anti-static. I know we already know whoever's going to say it that we haven't really grounded ourselves.
Yeah, it is very humid in New York today. There is no static electricity.
We know. We almost never do. I have yet to fry a computer.
Yes, there is that. All right, so let's snap that guy in.
Yeah,
it looks like it would go. Let's see. Yeah, like so. Yep. Match it up. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, so that should snap it a little. You got to go past the
little guardrail there, huh?
Yeah, it's got a little bit of a bump. So this is the I/O plate, the part that the ports on the motherboard are going to snap through. Over here, you can see the ports, and what Matt's snapping in on the back of the case there should allow the ports to show through and be protected if you're plugging anything into the ports in the back. Looking good?
Yep.
All right. Okay, so we've got that in. Next thing is going to be mounting the board itself. Now, there was something in the manual there, or in this piece of paper. We actually did cheat and take a look in the box beforehand. Sometimes we prep a little bit.
We're supposed to tell anyone, John.
Yeah, sometimes we do actually prepare ourselves.
We know you're fooled by that.
Yeah. It says something about making sure that, I guess, all the holes in the board line up with the standoffs, which are these little pieces of metal sticking out of the case.
Generally self-explanatory.
Yeah, but I guess they don't want you having one there that doesn't have a hole and that it shorts out the board. So
Fair.
I guess we want to take a look
Just
around.
double check.
Yeah, so this one matches to this one. We got 3 there, 2 here, 1, 2, 3. Actually, we're going to need to put one in over here, it looks like.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and 3 across the bottom. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so somewhere in the, it would actually be in the kit that came with the case. There should be a, probably that bunch there. There should be an extra motherboard standoff in there somewhere. And if there isn't, we'll just live dangerously and go without it. But
a lot of tiny screws in here. Let me tell you.
Right.
Well, why
Right,
don't
so
you
actually, let me get to our screw sorter
Yeah.
here. So, best if you build more than one PC a year, or even if you just build one PC, $2 from Micro Center. This thing is awesome. It sticks to any metal surface. It's magnetic, and it keeps the screws, you know, in one place. So you can, for instance,
Boom.
you know.
Oh, I found it.
You got it? Okay, yeah, there's always like 1 or 2 extras
Maybe
in
not,
there.
actually.
Let's see, what do we got in the baggie here? Let's see. There we go.
Let me just empty the whole thing and look at that. Look at
There
this,
we go.
Look at this still.
It's a thing of beauty. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Here, pour that out too. Why not? Okay.
How satisfying.
There we go.
Okay.
All right, so you want to
that
put
there?
it in over there, I think, is where we need it. So basically, this board has 9 holes in it. They had 8 mounts in the case for, you know, for the holes, and we just need to add the 9th. And it's, yeah, sometimes these things can require a tool. Let me see if we have a socket
I'm not
for
sure
that.
I'm getting enough purchase on this with just my hand.
All right. Let's see. Do we have a pair of pliers?
Gotta have your toolkit around.
Yes, there we
Different
go.
heads, obviously.
We have sockets here. One of these sockets might work. Let's see. Let's see. How do you like that? Perfect. All right. Oh, you got it in. Okay.
It's like in-ish. It's not actually tight.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah.
There we go. Now it's no longer ish. Yeah. There we go.
Remove the
right.
ish from your build wherever you can. That's really our first piece of advice.
Yeah. There we go. All right. So I think we're good for mounting this. Let's see. Put this. So we're going to take the motherboard, and it's going to match up with these holes, and we're going to have to find 9 screws to mount it on. So let's see.
We also chose this board because after we chose this case, we kind of decided to go with a black and white sort of theme. And this board, though kind of low key, has enough black and white to justify our aesthetic.
Interesting. This, what's going on here? An interesting bit of.
The rail, there's like a rail that seems to be blocking.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting. I've never seen a case do that before. It seems like this needs to not be there. It seems like it needs to be over here.
Interesting.
I don't know how that works, but I guess we'll find out in
The more you
order. Huh. We may need to consult the manual on this. Let's see. That would be shocking. I know.
What kind of builders?
Yeah. Oh, no, that's it. So basically, the I/O.
Oh, so the I/O plate doesn't sit flush against the outside.
No, it just sort of gets propped here by the board itself.
That's strange.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, I've never seen that before, actually. But it looks like that's the only way that this can mount, because this is lining up with the screw holes.
Yeah, there you go. Now they're
They're lining up, and that's
weird.
yeah, that's a way of putting it. Let's see.
Is it actually? Do the ports look like they're flush with the?
Yeah, they're fine. Yeah, they look. Yeah, that's actually it.
Right there. Because
Yeah.
now they're lined up with the board holes. So.
Yeah, no, that's actually how it's supposed to go. So basically, there's a little bit of an offset between the back of the case and that I/O plate.
Usually the plate's flush against the outside of the case, and you push the board right into it. But it's like
Right.
floating like a couple inches from the edge. Which
Yeah,
is,
about an inch, I
well.
would say. Yeah, so we will run with it. and see what happens. So
Take
these
their
are,
word for it.
all right, so these dome-headed guys here are the ones for the motherboard, so we can start putting them in. The other thing we should check, actually, which I did not before we put the board in, is to see if there's a mount for the, or an ability to mount the CPU cooler from the back. Because if there isn't, we have to mount the CPU cooler before we do all this.
That is a good
I just
thought.
realized that, yeah. So we'll put one screw in, and then we'll check it. All right.
When in doubt.
Yeah, I mean, if we were, sort of doing this in the labs here, just building a sort of a test bed that we'd be tearing apart, we'd put 2 screws in and call that a day. But since this will be a permanent installation, we'll actually do the right thing.
Yeah.
All right. But first, let's check.
Spike Lee's do the right thing.
That's right. All right, so, okay. Let's take a look on that side and see what's going on.
Hey, look, a motherboard.
Yeah, we're good. So basically, we will probably need to install some sort of a plate back here for when we put a cooler on the CPU later. We just wanted to make sure we could access it. Sometimes you can't.
Right, then you.
Then you need to take this
many,
all
many
apart.
steps backwards you would have to go.
There's a lost hour. So, all right, so we're safe. So I guess we can hop to it. I got a second screwdriver.
Oh,
so
good. I was about to ask.
yes. All right.
So there's usually about 8 or 9 of these.
Yeah, I think we've done one. We have 8 to go. So if we're going to be super scrupulous about this today, then I'll give you a hand there.
Right.
Okay. All right. All right.
A lot of screws in here to pick through.
Yes, there are. Yeah. So the little dome-headed ones are typically the ones that screw down for the motherboard. Usually, when you get a PC case, it'll come with 2 or 3, sometimes 4 different kinds of screws, and you have to check the manual to see which are which. The ones with the little dome head and that are generally the smallest of the bunch are for the motherboard. And usually, you figure that out by trying all the others and realizing that that's the only one that fits.
Yeah. Not a difficult part of the build, but a little tedious.
I'll let you do that one there because my screw bit here is no good. Let's see. Try a different one.
Magnetic screwdriver, always helpful.
Yes, that's what I do not have over here. Okay. All right. Hope for the best. Let's see.
All right.
All right. There you go.
Noticing in the light, this board's kind of brown.
Yeah, I thought it was black actually when we bought it. Yeah, it seems more. Well, it could also be the lights too, because a lot of the board of those traces, the electrical traces on the board, they are kind of copper colored, I guess, under the lighting. Let's see. So, does anybody out there have any questions or observations, criticisms?
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
That last one, gotta be.
Yeah, got to be a few. Let's see.
A lot of comments about grounding.
Let's see.
Oh, this is
go.
not
Is
the
there
right
one
kind.
there? Oh, wrong kind of screw there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, the one with the dome tops. Yeah, may need to hit this reverser switch. All right. While you're doing that, I'll sort out some more screws. How many do we got to go? Now, this we
1,
realize is the most
2.
exciting part of the build.
Yeah, please bear with us as we screw motherboard.
All right. All right. No dice.
Still.
It is holding it in place.
It is, but it was all crooked and
Ah.
what have you.
Okay. What it may have done is it may have taken the standoff underneath it with it.
Yep.
That's what happens
I see some
sometimes.
plastic scrapping down there.
Yeah, I think, you know what? I think you can leave it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'll be all right. I won't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody, right? Okay.
they'll never know.
They'll never know.
That's just
All right.
bothering me. Yeah, out of the hole.
Yeah, it's all right. We could screw it down further and then maybe get it out later. Usually what that requires is this happens now and then you get a pair of pliers, put it underneath the board to grab it, and then unscrew it from the top.
I feel like it's almost there.
Okay.
Maybe not. Oh well.
All right. We can live with it. All right. Those on the side there are all the ones we need.
Well, this one should be fun to get to.
Okay.
So let's see. What else do we consider while we were building this?
Well, I mean, part of picking this board, I mean, was the color. I mean, part of it was the price. I mean, part of it was the fact that it's not overclockable.
Yeah, since we splurged elsewhere.
Yeah, we kept it sort of
Yeah,
basic
the
on
board.
the
The
motherboard.
board's a little simpler. The I guess we can just talk about the rest of the.
Well, the other thing too about
components
the
as we do
board, I
this.
realized, is that the it supports only one video card.
Right.
That's a chipset limitation.
Right.
With the higher end Intel boards, you will get the ability to add, say, 2 NVIDIA cards or multiple AMD cards. You can't do that here. So yeah, it's all right.
It's bugging me.
It's okay. I think we could live with it. All right, so we got a motherboard in. Now what? All right, we can start cabling up
There's
the.
one more.
One more. We missed one.
Hiding on the corner.
All right, I've got to find one more screw here. Let's see. There you go.
Yeah, as we said, the GTX 1070 kind of got the bulk of the luxury. There's not a lot of extra money in the $1,000 bill, but that's where kind of our luxury buy was. I think every bill has one component where you kind of splurge. That was it for us. I don't know if people out there may be probably thinking, and you're not wrong to a degree, the 1070 is fine if you're just going to do this on a 1080p monitor.
Right.
That's not wrong, the 1060 is fine, but a little more power, you can get a guarantee of sort of running games at 1080 at 60 frames rather than most of the time. Maybe you have to lower a couple settings. If you already have a 1440p monitor that you're trying to play on, maybe dual screen, the card, a 1060 might struggle a little bit more. So 1070 just kind of gives you extra headroom for everything.
Yeah, I mean, you're future-proofing. Yeah,
so
I was just going to say. So speaking of the other thing that we spent a bunch of money on, the CPU, we should probably put that in now before things get too crowded. So what do we pick?
This is an i5 8400, so it's a Coffee Lake. Again, sort of like, we'll get to the RAM and stuff, but
we can angle it a bit this way for the studio audience.
An i5 is fine for gaming, honestly. It's more than fine. I say fine. It's not like you're making a concession. An i3 would have been making a bit of a concession, which we considered an i3 for a little bit.
Right.
We talked about maybe going with an i3 to save some money, but i7 is definitely kind of overkill for most gaming systems. The sort of the hyper-threading stuff that i7s are good at doesn't really come into play when you're doing gaming. So
just taking a quick look at the core.
Yeah, he's got the stats up here.
Right. So 6 core. This is this is not a hyper-threading enabled processor. That's one of the trade-offs versus the i7 core, Coffee Lake. This is a 6-core 6-thread as opposed to a 6-core 12-thread.
Yep.
So for heavily threaded things, like video encoding or things of that sort, you'll see a lot more out of an i7, and you pay another $100 or so, or a little more than $100 for an i7.
Since we don't really have that wiggle room, and it's not really necessary, an i5 seems fine.
Right, and that actually enabled us to go to the next sort of better class of video card.
Yeah.
So for gaming, since this is a gaming PC, that's sort of where you want to go.
Yeah, I think most builders would agree that gaming-wise, put more money into the card than into the CPU.
Right.
Especially how good the modern cards are. Like the baseline for the newest generation CPUs performance, it's so good that an i5's it's fine.
Yep. Yeah, and the other thing is with certain CPUs, you go maybe another step down to an i3 and you may start to see throttling because of the CPU. The i5 has sort of been acknowledged if you're doing a lot of testing with, say, a mainstream card versus a mainstream CPU is sort of the best combination, in terms of value. You can go i7 if you need the extra cores and or the extra threads, I should say, but I think this is the way to go if you're on a strict budget.
Yeah, it's usually a no-brainer for builds to just go with i7. So,
all right. So we want to put this guy in here.
Let's do the honors.
So we're gonna lift the
one of the more sensitive parts of the build, but also
actually, you know what? Let me ground myself. Touch the metal.
If you're gonna ground yourself at any point,
probably this, right? Just to play it safe. We're gonna lift the loading plate here and pop this piece of plastic off the top, which is just covering all the many hundreds of chips in the socket there, or pins in the socket there.
You recently had some fun unbending a CPU.
Yes, I did. Pins. Yes, that was an AMD Ryzen, which actually has pins on the bottom. If you look at the bottom of this one, it's all contacts, and all the pins are in the motherboard socket. So here you just want to be very careful about placing it.
Don't place and twist, don't place and push, just
kind
of let go.
Yeah. So on the loading plate, there's an arrow in the corner, and what you always want to do is make sure that the arrow in the corner matches the arrow in the corner of the CPU. So we're going to put it in like so. I'm going to lift the loading plate again, and then you just put it in very gently and evenly. If it isn't going in,
some part of the builds, some parts of the build are time to force things. This is not one of them.
Never one of them. Yes, absolutely. So this just snapped in. There's a couple of little lugs in the side that it engages with, and you'll feel it basically drop right into place. You put this in, you push it forward a little bit.
Very satisfying lever action.
Yes, you press it down, it tucks into here, and you're good. All right. So ultimately, you can put we're going to put a cooler on this, and you could use the Intel stock cooler, which we don't actually have on the table here, but would come with this if you bought one of these at retail. And we're not going to use the Intel stock cooler because it doesn't have RGB on it, and you got to have RGB.
Why even do it?
Right. So of course, right. So we'll get to that in a little bit, because when we install that, it's going to block access to some other things on the board. That'll be one of the last things we do.
Yeah.
All right. So we got our CPU in.
That's good.
How about Storage.
Yeah, that's a relatively simple one.
Okay.
We went with a 500 gigabyte SSD. This is from Crucial. It is not an M.2 drive. It's a regular 2.5 inch SSD, not a hard drive. 500 gigs was kind of somewhat of one of the concessions we made for the graphics card. I would say the RAM and the storage kind of got the bulk of the concession making for the GTX 1070. The i5 kind of, but again, that's kind of the right pick anyway. You might think 500 is a little light if for a gaming machine. You're not entirely wrong. Game installs are huge.
The only reason I'm going to peel this is because I know there's loose screws in here. And they're going to go flying into the case when I open it because I put them in there before.
500 gigs, these like 40, 50, $30, 30 gigabyte game installs these days will fill that up pretty quickly. You're probably going to have to uninstall some of the ones you're not using. It's a little annoying, but it's not a deal breaker. If you really find yourself butting up against the storage capacity, change your build up slightly and get a bigger drive. You can always do like a 128 gigabyte SSD and a bigger hard drive if you want some room, save money. But 500 gigs and the speed of an SSD, which obviously increases boot times. You install your OS on it, it's speedier.
Reduces your boot times, right?
Reduces your boot times and decreases load times in games. So kind of a win-win.
And the other thing is you can add a hard drive later. The case has room for it. You plug it in there, and basically for the games you don't play very often, you set up a second Steam library, right? And put the games you don't play as often or you don't mind waiting a bit for in terms of load times on there. So let me just, I think we're going to stand up the case to do this.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll turn it around. So there's a little sort of throne of honor here.
That was a good word choice.
Yeah.
Kind of show off your SSD to the world.
Yeah, it's a little like mounting thing here that, unfortunately, you have to undo it from the case to mount the drive on it. But here we go. Here you go. So here's the drive. Let's figure we're probably going to put it. Good question. How's this going to go? Probably like that. Yeah. Yeah. So I would say
which is I was trying to grab this. Which is like backwards from a perspective of like the label, but the ports are facing that way, which is not going to help us. So we're gonna.
Yeah. So I think that's what we want to do there. So we're going to have to mount the drive to the throne there with a couple of screws. I don't think we need to use all four.
I was admiring all the kind of fancy things that go on in the computer builds that. Whenever you do something like this, you're just like strapping it to a piece of metal. You're like, all right, now stay there.
Yeah,
it feels very low tech compared to everything else. It's
right,
funny
it's not going anywhere. The only thing I realized about this though is that to be able to plug in these cables, we probably need to make sure that it's hanging off the edge a bit, or make sure that the cables are able to go straight in. So
that lines up with these holes, so that's
all right. That's
fine.
There we go. There's your screws.
Mostly.
There's your.
I think we'll be all right.
Yeah. So I would just put one in on each corner and we'll be good. So while Matt's doing that, let's talk a little bit about the SSD. So this is, as he mentioned, a SATA SSD, a 500 gig Crucial. Stack it up over there. PCMag.com recently reviewed this and gave it an excellent review. It's a very good mainstream SSD in terms of speed, cost per gigabyte, warranty, and overall value. So we're pretty happy with this one. It competes pretty well with the Samsung drives of the world and is...
those are usually kind of the pack leaders, those Samsung drive.
Yeah, exactly. And you could also go with an M2 drive inside of the slot on the board. We don't actually have one here, but they basically look like a little stick of gum, and they mount onto the board. It's more or less an SSD without the outside chassis on it. The faster versions of them are called PCI Express or M2 SSDs, and I think for a build like this, it's probably overkill. And on top of which, you'll be able to actually see your SSD here.
Right.
It's like a nice little sort of component to be bowed down to, worshipped, since it's on a throne. I don't know about that. Yeah, let it go. We got more. More where that came from.
Rescued it.
So once you get that there, we can remount it with the, where did I put the other things here?
Oh.
All right.
These two holes are proving annoying.
All right, so while we're doing that, anybody have any questions out there?
We got another comment about why are they doing this in this order, not another one, which was...
That's fair.
Why did you put the motherboard into the case first instead of putting the components on it?
Well, it depends on the...
Yeah,
that's a fair
school
question.
of thought of how to do it.
Well, what happens is once you start putting components on the board, you start blocking access to a lot of the very fine wires that we haven't plugged in yet. And you'll see once we start plugging those in, it would be much more difficult once you have RAM, and especially if you have like the CPU cooler in the way. The CPU cooler is will be the last thing we put in. It sort of hangs over everything, and makes access kind of difficult. So I would, generally speaking,
one of these screws is different. Oh, well.
It's all good. I mean, it's not moving anywhere, right?
Nope.
Yeah, so generally speaking, I would do a lot of the fine cabling work before you start putting components in.
Yeah, I've never really had a problem building inside the case. I don't know, some cases I would agree that might be the right move if there's a lot of stuff that obstructs kind of your access, but it's a little cumbersome to move the motherboard into the case with stuff on it. And then, like John said, you can't really get to a lot of the stuff after the fact. So those motherboard screws are annoying enough to put in with nothing around it.
Right. Yeah. One of the next things we're going to do is start putting a lot of the cabling in, and once we do, why we do it this way is will be evident.
It's
so
these,
those
right?
are your, I put them over there for you. All right. So that's meanwhile getting mounted on there. Take a quick look at my price sheet here. The SSD that we're using here, $109 in this capacity. If you really need to save a bit, you could go with a smaller capacity 250 gig version. If you have a bit more to spend, there is a 1 terabyte version of this drive, I believe. And this one we found was probably the right balance for a gaming PC where you're dealing with large installs.
Yeah, storage is one of the things I think varies most dependent on a person's needs and kind of use case. So don't get too hung up on, it's only 5 gigabytes. Yeah, it is. I think you'll live with that. If you really run up against it, I guess technically you're ruining your $1,000 price point, even if you add in a hard drive a year later.
Right,
I guess that's cheating a little bit, but that's only if you find that you need it. So.
Right, or you can deinstall games too. I mean, they stay in your Steam library. You just don't have them locally installed.
Oh, I thought they were gone forever. If you want to install, I've never installed anything before because.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So you must have an an Infinity drive. Is what you have?
Very big hard drive. Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
All right. So we're in. All right. Great. So since one of our watchers mentioned order of operations, we should probably deal with something in order here that's going to haunt us later if we don't do it now. So I'm just going to.
So sitting on these cables.
Yeah. All good. Okay. This is the tedious part of the build. A lot of cables in here.
As opposed to the motherboard screws.
Right. Well,
just a hoot.
Yeah, that was an absolute vacation. Hopefully we can see inside here, and our camera folks will let us know if they cannot. This cable that I have in my hand here is for USB 3. There's some USB 3 ports in the front of the system. I'm just going to plug it into the appropriate thing in the motherboard, which is conveniently right next to it.
Yeah, it's kind of the one cable that's just hanging out right close to the board.
Right. It's being very convenient for us. These here, we're going to have to, I think, go to the other side and untie them.
Yeah, they're kind of bound.
Yeah. Yep. So we're going to bring this up. Okay, and it looks like, so this is interesting. We're going to let's turn the case around to show this
So you can
off.
see the kind of dilemma here.
Yeah, so not really a dilemma, but this is actually interesting. I just noticed this. A couple of thumb screws up here.
They hid most of the ends of the ports behind this thing.
Right, so this is a shroud here, which I guess hides a lot of
it's on a hinge.
Yeah, so it looks like it comes down, and you could hide a lot of your business there. Wow, that's a lot of business, isn't it?
They're strapped in. Once you undo that, it's going to be.
Yeah, it's never going back together again. So we'll be careful how we proceed here. So a lot of these things here, I suspect, are for the case fans, for the lighting on the case fans. We will have to figure out how they wire up later. But I'm going to let them free. Yep, just gone done it. And let's undo this.
Oh man, they're so nicely packaged. It hurts.
Yeah,
it hurts to watch. It's never getting back that neat again.
Right. All right. So this bunch. Wow, this really is a. This is a rat's nest. I mean, usually this is how it looks after you've worked on it for an hour.
Yeah, they went ahead and did that.
They kind of pre-scrambled them for you, which is nice, which was thoughtful. But this bunch of cables here is actually coming from the fans in the front. And basically, when you have RGB fans, there's usually 2 connections. There's one for the actual spinning fan motor portion, and then there's one for the RGB, which is being controlled separately. So you get 2 cables with every one of these things for the price of 1, which means 6 discrete cables for 3 fans. Thus the
nest, you see.
That's the mess, yeah. So trying to figure out what this guy is here. This appears to be it's almost like a SATA connector.
That's what it looks like.
We'll have to figure him out later. I don't know why it's a him, but
that one.
It just strikes me as, yeah. Let's see what this is here. This is going to be power for the fans, I believe.
Yes.
So we'll have to figure that situation out. This is what I was really looking for. These
all that work. This.
All that, yeah. So there are going to be 4 of these. So if you want to hang on to that and see if we can find 3 more.
Yeah. Little one 4.
Yeah. I mean, here's one over here. What's this?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, that's yet another one.
This is the audio header.
That's the audio. Okay. I'm going to go on this side and see if I can find the rest of the headers. Am I pulling on the same cable you're holding?
No.
No? Okay. Let's see. Maybe they're... nope, that's going to the fan. This is going to the fan. So mind us while we untangle cabling here. This is where we probably should put up like a placard that says "Please stand by."
Yeah,
but you know, that's okay. Let's see.
It's part of that. It's part of the experience.
Oh yeah.
When you build, every case is different. Is really the takeaway.
Right. Yeah. There's Well, which one do we have there? That's power.
HD
right?
audio and power.
You know, really, all you need is power.
It's kind of all you need.
And I'm wondering if that isn't the case here, because I just realized something.
There's no
power button. I mean, I'm sure there is. Oh, there's the power button. Okay,
I was
it's
gonna
under.
say,
You
surely-
can't see it. We'll show you later. There's a power button.
That's actually kind of neat.
Yeah,
I like
but
that.
you know what I noticed though? There's no LEDs.
Which is good because then you need no lights. We have a question.
Yes.
We've got someone who wants to know, will I be able to stream while gaming, or even more importantly, will I be able to stream while producing music?
I would, if you're going to use this is mostly a gaming machine. If you're going to use this to, as Intel has started calling them, hypertaskers.
Yes.
If you're gonna, or super, one of the two.
Supertaskers?
Supertasking, hypertasking, whatever it is. Sort of the people who would, yes, they would content create while they also play. The 1070 is fine for that on that front. I think you might want a little bit more RAM than 8 gigabytes.
And you probably want to use the next step up in terms of the CPU platform. So
Yeah.
you want to go with a Core X. So basically, Intel has the mainstream chips. We're using one of the mainstream 8000 series Coffee Lake chips here, and you get the Core X, which is sort of the high-end desktop stuff. You probably want to be on the high-end desktop platform, or in the case of AMD, the AMD Threadripper.
Sure.
We actually did a little thing yesterday on AMD's newest Threadrippers. That's actually what they're good
Yeah,
at,
those hypertaskers refer to the X.
Right.
That's mostly what they use to market for the X or the Core i9, et cetera, platform.
Right. If you
An
want
i7 will probably get away with it better than an i5. I think you'd be okay depending on how heavy you're talking about here.
Right.
But an i5, I would say it would do it. You might probably not the speediest.
Yeah, you don't want to be rendering. I mean, basically, rendering is hitting all the cores at the same time, and basically is going to max out the CPU, just with that task alone. So you really want something. If you have like a 10 core, an 18 core type of chip, you can allocate things to.
And if you're not
tasks.
tied to our somewhat arbitrary, just kind of for the sake of the challenge and the build, $1,000 price point, probably worth investing in your CPU a little more. But for gaming specifically, i5 is fine.
Yeah.
Another question.
Can any CPU go with any motherboard? How do you match them?
No. And
Right.
no, and it's complicated.
Right. Yeah. So so I'm going to sort some cables while I explain that.
Yeah. So did we determine, before we answer that, did we determine is that all
I think
we
that's all
actually have? Yeah.
I think that may be all we have. So let's have the power cable.
Yeah, because even following this out, there's only. Oh no, you know what? They're going something.
I thought that was it too. But no, they go into the fan.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah. So I think we're going to go with that. So I would just feed them through, and we'll plug them in, and then I will answer the motherboard question. So where my fingers are here is where we want to send those two cables. Okay. So the question was, can any CPU go with any motherboard? The answer is certainly not. If you're,
That's actually one of the things to be most careful about, I would say.
right, and this actually would probably be a good story now that I think about it on the site.
audio.
There's the audio cable.
Yep.
AMD and Intel, each have their own sockets for their mainstream chips and their high-end desktop chips. Hopefully this will go down okay.
I think, this is good.
Mind your fingers, yeah. There we go. I know it didn't sound good, but
Lots of things don't sound good.
yeah, you have different sockets basically for different classes of motherboard, and as new generations of chip come out, sometimes the socket changes and sometimes it doesn't. So basically, what you need to do is look at the motherboard's support page on the web and see what the family and sort of compatible CPUs are.
Yeah. And it'll look like something interminable. It's just a string of letters and numbers that if you don't really know what you're looking at, it kind of looks like your eyes might glaze over looking at it, but you should see the match.
Right.
Really,
yeah.
between the board and the CPU.
Yeah, I mean, the way to go is if you know roughly what generation and type of CPU you want, you can also search, say, for instance, on an Amazon or a Newegg for compatible boards, and then go to the manufacturer's page to make sure that that specific chip is compatible.
Yes.
But I mean, there's basically, these days, 4 sockets. There's 2 Intel and 2 AMD that really matter. On AMD, there's one for Threadripper, which is a ginormous chip and is called TR4. Then there's one called AM4, which is for everything else that is current in AMD's line. In Intel's line, you have the, I'm trying to remember what it's called on
LJ.
I'm trying to remember on the Core X, it's 2066, I believe.
Sure.
Yeah, someone will call me on that if I'm wrong. I'm going off memory here.
I'm not as familiar.
But it's a slightly larger CPU socket than what we're seeing here, and it's incompatible with the socket on this board, which I believe is socket 1151. But someone again can call me on that if I have it wrong. It's the last few generations have been socket 1150, 1151, 1156, 1155.
I think this is 1151.
Right. So all those are incompatible.
Yep.
And on top of which,
just to
and just to make it even harder, this same socket I believe that with these 300 series boards, like the B360 and the Z370 that we're using here, the new Coffee Lake chips only work in the 300 series versions of this socket.
Right.
So there's other versions of this socket that have 200 series in the chipset, and you can't use these chips in them. So basically, look at the board, look at the list of compatible CPUs.
Try to match, yeah. If you Google, there's some resources to help you. I think you can probably find some either explainers or kind of a list of compatible matches. I can't recall one specifically, but I'm willing to bet that exists if you Google it.
Yeah, generally not a good thing to guess at.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one lonely cable we have here is for the power switch in the front of the system. And I'm going to take a quick look at the manual that we have here somewhere.
It's gone.
It's on the floor.
Camera,
probably.
follow me. This is what we were. This is what we were enamored with behind the scenes. There
Right.
you go.
Oh, you got it there?
Yeah.
Oh, did I just put the thing down on top of it? Okay.
No,
I'm sorry.
I was talking about I was showing off this while you searched.
Just looking for the manual. Let's see.
This includes USB-C, which is a nice little addition. Power and just 2 USB. There's no. We were commenting
Excuse
on
me,
this.
man. I'm just reach under you here.
Sure.
Okay.
There's no lights for the. There's usually an indicator light for the power button on the front, but we don't have to plug that in because they don't exist.
All right. Here's what we were looking for.
This is a little flimsy. I'm not the biggest fan of.
Yeah, the door there. It looks like if you don't press it where the catch is, it might,
Yeah, it
might-
includes the entire left side. Only the right side on.
Yeah, it looks like that needs a little bit of reinforcement behind
Yeah.
it, if you ask me. This is interesting. I'm looking at the motherboard manual. Oh, here it is. Okay. I knew I saw this somewhere. So basically what we're looking for is where to plug in the power switch lead, which is this little cable here. Let's see. Power lead goes to... power switch. Where's power switch? Okay. It looks like it's going to be on pins 2, 3, 4, 5, so 6 and 8, and next to the no pin. So you'll have to trust me on this. It's very hard to see inside the case here, but I'm going to put this on here, and I'm 99% sure it's the right place.
It's one of the things you're going to want to consult your
your
manual for while you build, just for that, and probably for the RAM
Right.
slots to get the RAM right.
Right. These little fine cables generally go into something that's called, gosh, what do they call it in this particular board? It's sorry, one moment. JFP. And in this case, there's front panel, FP front panel, and there's basically 9 pins on it that correspond to little LEDs in the front of the case and a power switch. In this case, the case only appears to have a power switch cable, so that's all really you need. I mean, the little
The lights are kind of whatever,
and there's no reset switch.
and it's annoying to plug them in.
Right. So there you go. Hey, I'm all
And
for
then
simplicity.
the same holds for the audio. It's just kind of a bigger header.
Yeah. So you know what I'm seeing is the audio is all the way over here. Now, if we want to get real fancy, we could go underneath here
Do some routing.
and route it. Yeah, but we'll probably have to do that from the back of the case. So we'll do that when we stand up the case next. So,
Okay.
which will probably be, let's see,
You think we can get that out of there?
I would probably go from behind and then out.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can leave it for now.
All right,
We'll
let's
get it in a
just
minute.
not,
I'm trying to think if there's any other cables we could plug in the meantime. This is a power supply thing, right? This is for the this is power for the fans.
Yeah. Did I throw the SATA one through?
Yeah, we should probably put the SATA cable in. Let's do that.
I don't know if we backed that one through the front.
Well,
or not.
that SATA, I don't think it's. I'm not sure what that SATA is for.
No,
We'll
I
have
thought
to
that was
mess
power for the storage.
with- that might be what it is. Well, let's see. There's the SATA coming from the power supply. That's actually coming from the
Oh
case.
yeah, this is coming from the case. What am I talking about?
Right. So that's. I'm not quite sure what that's
I have no idea
for.
what this is for.
We'll have to look at the manual for that one. Something won't light up, and that will be what it's for. But since you mentioned SATA, this is the cable for the SSD. I'm going to plug it. Well, actually, you know what I'm going to have you do is actually let's turn it around.
Yeah, let's look.
Yeah. So the audience
them
will see
in.
what we're doing. All right. Hopefully that's visible, and our team will let us know if it isn't.
Looks visible.
Yeah. Let's put this in here. This is going into the back of the drive, and now you could just plug it straight into here, but then you have this big ugly cable. hanging
Yeah,
around.
as always. And it really on this all white case really
Doesn't look great.
yeah,
Right.
it's easy to see every little.
Right.
Every
So
little
why don't we
cable.
do this? We'll route that in there, and then we will have it
up.
come through here.
It's just long enough to make this work.
Yep. There we go. So we'll do a little bit of.
Much better.
Yeah. There we go. All right. So not perfect, but it'll do.
You want to deal with this while this is up?
Yeah. Let's. What is that there? That's
This is the audio.
Yeah. That goes into. That's down here. So we can feed that back. This is where the. And to call this artistry is probably overstating the matter.
Some
but
very slight aesthetic. Just
Right.
You know, so the cables aren't in every which way.
you probably get a better angle on that than me. So it's the
Yeah.
the header in
Right
the
in
corner. Yeah.
Ba-ba-ba.
All right. Now, so after you do that, we're going to start plugging in power supply cables because we've got the right angle for that. So two main power supply cables that go into the
Oh, it's
the
a
board.
disaster back there right now.
Yeah, so this is going to be a little interesting. So this one would typically go in here.
Yep.
And let's put that in there, but not all the way, and I'll explain why later. Just so we don't have to extract it later, but we'll just put that there for the moment.
Loosely in.
Yeah, now
Let's not forget that that's loosely in, so that when this doesn't boot later,
that's why it's
we're
not
very
working.
confused.
This here is what's called the CPU power connector. There should be a socket for it somewhere in the neighborhood there.
Yeah, I see it.
You probably have to make a tight sort of curve there to make it work. Okay. Meanwhile, this is our hinged thing, which actually came off when we were putting this down. You can slide it sideways and it comes off and goes out of the way, which is a nice little feature we didn't...
This isn't the longest, huh?
Oh, you can. Yeah, you just need to feed some more. Yeah. Do you have enough slack there?
Oh, wait, that's not the right one. That's a 3-pin.
Yeah, there should be a big
Oh,
socket.
it's right on the top, actually.
Yeah, right. You won't need that. All right.
Totally twisted around the wrong way.
Yeah, so it only goes in one way. Let's see. So while you're doing that, so Matt's plugging in the CPU power connector. Let's see, do we need this? We may need this again, but let's throw it on the floor. This we'll get to later. All right. All in and good? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, RAM.
RAM.
Super loose. Super luce?
Loose?
Loose? All right.
I assume that's like loose in other languages, but not spelled
Right.
as I know it.
As in light.
Yep.
Or looks. Anyway, it's made by GeIL, which is a Taiwanese company that specializes in high-performance RAM. This is DDR4 memory, and the reason we chose it was the reasons we chose it.
Reasons.
A, price, and B, it has pretty lights.
It has pretty. You can't get enough of the lights. Yeah, RAM is actually one of those things that used to be over several years. Kind of, it came down in price and it was like relatively affordable. It was like, oh, nice. It's just the RAM. It's cheap. That spiked up kind of recently in the past year or two, and that hasn't really come down yet. So. What do we get? 2 sticks of 4 GB RAM for $85, I want to say?
Yeah, I think we get $79. It was.
$79?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, so basically it was just as inexpensive to get the RGB RAM as not.
Yes.
So we went with
We got
lights.
the RBG because,
All
again,
right.
this is being seen by you, the people.
And those that envy you and love you.
And yes.
All right.
Do we want to take these ASUS Aura stickers off, or we really like that
No,
it
we'll
says...
leave them on there.
it
Actually, we can
says
talk
sync?
about that while we plug them in. The question is which ports do we plug them
So
into?
yeah, to reiterate, 8 gigs of RAM, 4 each. These are not, this is not 8 and 8.
Right.
We have a question.
Yes.
How do you match a motherboard and a GPU?
That's a good question.
It's a good question. It's actually one of the simpler things, not totally simple, but simpler. It's all about the PCIe, the PCI Express lanes. This lovely silver one here will be holding our card. And you can have multiple, like we said before, this is a cheaper board. It only has room for 1 card. You can have multiple of those.
Right. With a higher end board.
With a higher end board, you might get, in which case you need 2 graphics cards. Obviously, that gets a little pricey. With this, you can, unlike the CPU, GPU, they are agnostic to the platform, so you can put, an AMD card on an Intel board. But
Right.
there's,
Nvidia,
there's sort of,
right.
there's a couple little features that you might not like. Some boards support Crossfire, so you can do 3, 4,
AMD boards.
3?
Yeah, 3 to 4
3
AMD
cards?
boards. Yeah. And these days, only the highest end Nvidia boards can you put more than 1 in, and you can only do 2. Now, I
Yeah.
think it's with the 1070, 1070 Ti, 1080, 1080 Ti, right? Those you can put 2 in, and that's the limit.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea being if you're trying to match board, I mean, to an extent, it's price. I mean, if you're buying a very high end card, you're probably also buying a sort of higher caliber of parts for the rest of the system. But there's no reason you can't put a very high-end video
unlike-
card on a relatively inexpensive board like this.
Unlike the chip, it will work.
Right.
They're not, the socket's not made for a specific brand, so
Right.
there's a little more leeway there.
Yep. Yeah. That's the short version. So in terms of which slots to put these in, I don't have that in the manual there, but I'm going to go with my experience, which says
1
put
and
it in
3?
the 2. Well, let's see. What are the actual numbers here? It's
1 and 3, 2 and 4.
Oh, actually, it says it right on the board.
Ooh,
so
that's
my
a nice
experience
little
is
feature.
read the board.
Thanks, board.
That that never happens. So it's actually 2 and 2, which is this one and this one. So basically, we're going to put the 2 memory models that we have in the 2 slots that are indicated on the board. You could put in up to 4. I'm not entirely sure. I have to look at the back of the box and see what the maximum is, but I suspect the maximum on this board is probably 32 gigs, which means 4 8s. Might be 64.
One of the easier parts of the build, installing RAM, you unclip the edges. I know a lot of you out there know very well how to install RAM, but some people might be newcomers, and you really just push it into the slot until the little clips cinch and hold it in place.
Yeah, it doesn't actually say in the box what the maximum is on this. I can take a quick look on the board here since we have our specs. Just take a quick peek at specifications for the B360-A Pro. DDR4 memory, 4 slots, maximum 64. So you could put 4 16s in there.
You could load this up with RAM if you wanted to.
Right. So we're really putting in the sort of the bare minimum that you would for a gaming PC these days.
I know 8 isn't exciting to a lot of people.
Right.
They probably scream for 16, but I would agree it'd be nice to have 16. But again, $1,000.
Actually, here's a little sidetrack here. So this thing has a sticker on it that says ASUS Aura Sync. Now we're building a board on building a system based on an MSI motherboard, and every one of the motherboard vendors has their own scheme for RGB control.
Yeah.
And
which is very annoying. I'm just going to put just a sort of general macro commentary.
Yes.
Annoying.
Yes, we do wish that they would get it together in a room, give them a bunch of beers and just hash this out and come up with one system, but it's not happening. So right now, ASUS has Aura Sync, MSI has a thing called Mystic Light, Gigabyte has something called RGB Sync.
Sounds right.
Sounds right. And a couple of other vendors have a couple of things.
Yeah.
Vivid LED, I think, is BioStar, and somebody else has something else that I'm forgetting. Forgive me, whoever you are.
A lot of software is out there.
Rock, yes.
There you go.
But basically, if you buy components that match up with the sync support for the board, you can control the RGB lighting through the software that the board maker provides. So since we're kind of mixing here an Aura Sync module with an MSI board, and one's intended for ASUS, and you have an MSI board, it's probably just going to light up in a default mode. Once you turn it on. It probably shouldn't explode into a shower of sparks. That doesn't generally happen. But in terms of the RGB control, we should be just stuck sort of to a basic cycling of lights. At least we hope so. We'll see what happens when we boot.
In theory, yeah.
So, but that said, I mean, if you were particularly particular about this, you could look for a set of RAM that supports Mystic Light.
Sync those a little better.
Yes, exactly. Except that we'd be stepping on their trademark.
Yeah.
So anyway. Something to consider. So we got the RAM in.
Unlike the case fans, which we should have full control over, because they're built into the case.
Yes.
And come with their own controller, and we'll get to that.
Right. Yeah. There's a whole aspect to that.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see what we have here. So we've got the power stuff in, got the drive hooked up, got the CPU in there. We're probably gonna have to deal with that guy next. I'm thinking video card or that. Video card's easier. Why don't we do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
And then path of least resistance.
Although will it be harder to install this with the video card on? Will be in the way slightly.
Maybe. Yeah, let's do that first. Pull off the Band-Aid. So, no offense to Deepcool or to CPU cooler manufacturers, but these things are never easy to install.
Not great to look at, frankly.
Yeah. Well, this one has RGB in it. So,
that's good.
So hopefully it'll look better than most. So what we have here is, let me just bring it for the audience here. A company called Deepcool, based in Beijing. Sent us the Gammax GT, which is an RGB-equipped CPU cooler. Should work with this socket, I hope. I forgot to check that. It does, yes.
It does.
Otherwise, we'd be running inventory to find another one. But there we go. This should work for the Intel socket. It'll also work for the higher-end Intel sockets and actually just Intel. No, it does do AMD. I'm sorry. There's an AMD section down here. So it will work for mainstream Ryzen.
So a nice little universal thing. We have a question.
Yes.
Much more wants to know, Matt, are you a case fan?
I get it. Yes, I am a fan of case fans. I'm a case fan.
You're a case fan? There we go. So I noticed there's no Gook on there.
Yes, there's not.
All right, so I'll have to get some out of our... so we have a rescue kit over here of all the things that we may
have
forgotten.
Did they maybe include it in here,
They may have included some, or I have some in my kit over there for missing parts. So basically, a lot of times when you buy one of these CPU coolers, there's a pre-applied patch of thermal grease on there. Not so today.
Nope.
So we have to put on.
So yeah, the thermal paste literally sticks this to the CPU to hold it, kind of hold it in place and conduct nicely the cooling.
Yeah.
So
it fills in the gaps in the sort of the microscopic level.
There is.
Yeah.
A little syringe.
All right. So we have much stuff in the bag here. So let's see how this works, because it appears that there's a lighting aspect to it.
Oh, good.
And some little brackety things.
Lighting for the silliest little addition that's obviously purely aesthetic tends to be among the more finicky things to set up. Just
absolutely.
Across the board.
No, it absolutely is. But before we can put that in, I realize we have to put all the mounting hardware on the board first. So this is where we were talking about checking the back of the board and seeing if we could plug this on the back and screw it down. And we'll need to flip this up, I guess, which is that way, I guess. Yeah. So this is going to go on the back of the motherboard, and you'll be able to see what's going on that side.
Yeah, turn this.
Be
prepared to be afraid of these wires, though. It's gotten ugly back here.
Yeah, we'll clean it up before we're done. So where's the manual for this? Let's see. Or I could just wing it.
Yeah, do that.
That always works out well, right?
Yeah.
So let's see.
I think we've done enough builds to be wing friendly.
Yeah, I think so. All right. That's it. Could you be so kind as to hold that there?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just figure out the. Usually, you need to consult the manual for this stuff, but we've installed enough of these over the years that we're probably going to be okay with this. Let's see, or not. Let's see. We have a bunch of very small screw things here, which. Okay, let's not lose that. Pardon me. Let's see where this should go. This is going to go. Trying to figure this. Let's get the manual. That's going to be easier than fumbling with this. It should be in the box, which is over here. Okay. So pardon us while we actually consult the instructions, which
You never want to have to do.
you never really want to have to do that exactly, but sometimes,
Sometimes it's just wise. While you search, we have a question.
all right.
Is there such thing as an external RAM unit?
Not to my knowledge. I also don't really see the benefit
Pardon me.
as
Not really.
necessarily. I'm not sure what you'd get out of it. Just like a big box that no matter what you plugged it into would have a lot of RAM in it.
I think the problem.
Yeah.
The problem.
Sort of, yeah, sure. I guess I'm with you there.
The problem would be that to create bandwidth between that unit and the motherboard would be a bottleneck in and of
Right,
itself.
you'd probably be losing. Yeah, you'd be losing performance just over that.
Right.
Plus, it's not like it's hard to just plug RAM into whatever you're using at the time. It's almost as easy as plugging in an external box filled with RAM.
Yep. All right, so it looks like this goes. Take a look at this here. Let's see. It looks like it goes like this, and then something's got to come up underneath it to
actually screw into.
to screw into. So the question is, which of these holes does it go into? This is AMD.
Well, it looks like these are
so it's
these
these.
things are the screws.
Right, they come in from the other side, and this goes into here. The question is, does it go into this hole or does it go into this hole? So
Well, I can see which ones were lined up. I think it was the.
the outer.
Yeah.
Okay, here you go.
Me.
All right, yeah. All right.
Oh, hold this.
Got that? Okay.
I lost one.
Oh no.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, so this is going to go like this. So that means it goes like
Flush
so, right?
against, yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Okay.
I believe.
Let me line these back up.
Just tell me which one you're screwing into, and I will screw it in from the other
It
side.
is the outer. I can't really explain. It's the sort
upper
of-
right? This is
no,
upper right.
no, these guys. The lower.
Okay.
There's no holes there. You'll see.
Okay.
There's only one. Yeah. There's only one hole.
All right.
Like here.
There it goes. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I have the wrong thing.
Yeah, it's the little triangular thing.
I have one of these.
Oh,
Also.
sorry. I didn't give you one.
We're both screwing the same thing.
My bad. Yeah. So basically, screwing two threads into each other doesn't work.
Yeah, go figure.
that we've determined. Okay.
All right. Now you should.
Yeah, that looks more like it.
for
Now I
it.
see threads. Okay. All right. So once we get one in, we should be good. Okay, good. Just to get it started, here's 3 more of those.
Cool.
And again, this generally is the most. Well, I actually said that the cabling was the most
that
tedious
wasn't
part
too
of this.
bad.
The cabling is actually pretty okay on this case, or at least cross our fingers. So far, it has been.
As far as managing it later, might be
Yeah.
a different story.
Yeah, this is probably going to be the part. Yeah, top one's in. So now the 2 bottom ones. So basically, we're putting these in on this side of the board, and it's a little difficult to see, obviously, from there. But Matt is
over.
holding the back plate in
Yeah.
place.
Doing this as a one-person job would be a little annoying, but doable.
Yeah, you basically have to stand the case up and then just.
You do one of these.
Right, exactly. All right, over here. Are you ready?
Guy.
All right. So basically, what this is doing is creating a mounting mechanism on this side of the board where I am for the rest of the cooler. Okay, so almost there. Okay, that one's tight. I'm just tightening the rest. Are they rotating in place?
Interesting. No, it's kind of flush. It's actually kind of neat. It's kind of flush with the.
Okay.
The other ones aren't, which I'm now noticing, but I don't think it matters.
Just make sure they're when they turn to sort of like finger tightness. Is the one on the top right just rotating in place because it feels like it's
This one?
yeah. There it goes. That
yeah.
seems more like it. Okay. Yeah, now it's tight. Okay. That one's good. That one's good. That one's good. All right, so we'll just show now what we're doing on this side. Hopefully, it will be visible. And if not, please let us know, our dear camera crew. Over here, there's a, and I can tilt it up a little bit.
Yeah. I think we can
Yeah,
see
there's
him.
there's a CPU socket. We have 4 sort of posts around it that are now going to accept the mount for the cooler. Now, where's the cooler? It's over there. So let's not push our luck. Take a look at the manual here. So basically, this has installation instructions for every possible kind of socket, which
There's a lot.
is a lot. And before it looks too intimidating, basically all we need to look at is this part. So it looks like we got up to that point. We need to put our stuff on there, and then there's
Then and only then.
yes, 2 of these things go on there. The question is which 2? They're the ones that say well, the ones that have a bend in them. So I'm going to gamble that it's these 2 guys here. All right, so let's do it. Okay. Thermal grease. This came with the kit. We're just going to put a small pellet of the stuff on here, and I did not bring a business card or something similar to smear it around with, but
Usually
I'll use.
the good.
Yeah, I got a little paper bag here, so we'll just use, or a plastic
All
bag.
right.
So we'll just look at that. Put my finger through it.
Oh,
There
you've
we
done
go.
it. You've done it now.
Yeah, there we go. All right, smear that around a bit. Basically, the idea is you don't want to overdo it. Just put enough to cover the chip with sort of a almost transparent layer. This is probably a little more than I would have liked to, but that'll do.
It'll live.
It'll do. All right. All right. What is this here?
Got the block and we got the whole
Got
the
thing.
holders.
Yeah. So there's. Okay. So actually, this is going to be another consultation with the authorities here. Let's see. We need more screws. All right. So there's 2 small screws that go in. So it looks like there's an orientation issue here where we need to make sure these things are facing
Bent
inwards.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, so they kind of go like this. And we'll dry fit it before we go too far. But I think you could probably put this in either way. You could probably put it this way or this way. It works both ways. So let's think about that.
There's also this to contend with.
Yeah,
so-
well, that will have to. I'm thinking just in terms of the direction of the airflow. You're going to want, in the case of this case, the air to go out that way. So you'll want this to be facing like this, and then the air blowing through it, which means the way we have these brackets set up is the way we want it to go. Great, pardon me. So let me just screw these down. We may have to. Well, that's interesting. This is a different size. What's up with that?
Curious.
Maybe it can only go one way.
Maybe that's the answer
Let's
to
see.
your question. That's bizarre.
Let's see what's going on here.
So that bracket's just bigger.
Yeah,
seems.
that is strange. That should not be.
And you do need both of them.
Oh, wait a minute. No, it goes in.
Oh, okay.
It's got, there's a little bit of slide. So basically, these brackets are intended for different sockets. So it looks like they slide like this way and that way. So there's a little bit of play in them. It's just that one was adjusted differently than this one. So, all right. So basically, you could use a screwdriver on this, but I think we're going to be good.
Probably tight enough.
Yeah, basically you do finger tight and then a little tighter, and that should do it. Okay. Okay. So now that thing.
It's a giant block.
All right, so now there are 2 screws here somewhere on the table for it. Just need to figure out where they are. Yeah, they are. They're right in front of me. Boy, those are small. All right, so let's get... Okay. So
Those are tiny.
Those are really small screws. So we're going to get a really small screwdriver. Let's see.
You'll use the right tool for the job.
Yeah, I don't know. This might be... might get in... Well, let's see what
Just
happens.
enough?
Let's see what happens. Yeah,
Should I plop?
Yeah, plop it on there. So I guess it goes... Does it go underneath the brackets? Oh, yes, it does, doesn't it? Okay. Yeah, I just realized my my mistake.
Jumped the gun.
Yep. Yeah, we'll have to take one of these off. So basically, this has to be fastened underneath there.
Yeah, there's little tracks for the...
Yeah, I don't know if you could slide that under or not. Probably not. If not, I can...
No,
yeah,
only because
definitely
the,
don't force it. Yeah.
Only because the little
Yeah.
headers on the other side are blocking it.
Okay. That'll teach us to read the manual more closely. Oh, nuts. You know what I just realized? The thing came off from the other side.
Oh,
That's not good. All right. Gesundheit. Okay.
Took the stops with you there.
Yeah, so we may have to support it from the other side and put that back on. All right. So basically what happened was the thing that we did on the back of the board came off with the bracket here when we...
Prematurely screwed.
Yeah. That is a way of putting it. Okay. So we may need to actually... a pair of pliers to do this properly. Nope, actually I think we're okay.
Crisis averted.
Not quite. Yeah, I think we might need a pair of pliers.
Crisis in progress.
Crisis in progress.
What's stuck?
The problem is that this cooler is coming off with it because I tightened it too well.
Right.
So we may need a pair of pliers to grab this here. There may be in the kit, but I don't think so. We may need to scrounge around the lab for a pair. It's not a pair of pliers, but I might do.
Might give
try
you.
it.
Is it enough?
It's good.
Good enough?
Perfect. I don't know what tool I'm using here, but it worked.
But it's great. It's great for the job.
It's a good choice. It's actually a wire nipper. All right, so let's see if I can. So there's a little bit of improvisation here. Do not try this at home. Use a proper pair of pliers.
This was a accidental out of order.
Yeah, we got kind of cocky and. All right.
Ta-da.
Yeah. There we go. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, let's try this again.
Take two. That was the dry
All
run.
right. That thing.
Now we know.
Right. So this basically is going to go. Actually, I just realized we can spare ourselves a lot of pain.
Just drop these on.
Yeah. Let's just do this out here. Yeah. Let's rotate that way. Use a. I'm going to just do this over here if you don't mind.
Take it away.
Yeah. Or actually, if you would just grab a screwdriver, and this might be easier.
Right. I forgot we were
Yeah, it's
doing
really
here.
tiny. And go for it.
I think that's good.
Okay. And here's the other one. Okay. Let's see. Where's the other bracket? Those are not it. This is it.
Oh.
Okay. So let's do this somewhere actually where it will not fall into the case, and then we have to find this micro screw later on.
That's ideal.
This will be invisible to the studio audience, but I will do an interpretive dance routine while I'm at.
I want to watch that though.
No,
I don't want to be.
you
I
really
don't want
don't.
to be busy watching this screw.
Let's see. All right, so let's get rid of that. We're going to need this. And while you're screwing that in there, I'm going to figure out what all this business is here. So while Matt's working on that, we're going to find out a little about this motherboard. We actually have an RGB header here, which could plug directly into the motherboard if the motherboard has an RGB header. That is not something that we factored in when we were building out or selecting this board. So we should probably take a quick peek at the spec sheet for it to see if there is one, because there are a lot of plugs on this board that could take an RGB header, but I'm not sure if this board has one. So let's see. Anyway, we'll put that in and we'll figure that out in a bit. So that is going onto these 4 posts.
Carefully-ish.
Yep. Yeah, it should line up. We put them in there enough times already. Okay. Yeah, so you just got to screw them on with the screwdriver of choice. And I'm going to, in the meantime, take a quick look at the manual here and see what we should be doing with it. Well, that's interesting. You never want to hear that.
Yeah, don't ever. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a wire sticking out of that thing, right?
Yep.
Trying to figure out what that's for. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, so this is going to be a little bit involved. So let me leave this over here. And while you're screwing that down, whoops.
Tighten in place here.
All right. So basically this, typically when you buy a CPU cooler like this, it's pretty simple. You get a radiator and you get a fan. And the fan gets plugged into a thing on the board and you're done. Not so simple here. This particular kit has 2 wires coming off the fan because it's an RGB fan. So we need to figure out where they go. I'm going to wrap that there. So with a fan like this is the intake. Where the frame is on the fan is the exhaust. So what you want is your air to be coming into the intake, out the exhaust, in this case through the radiator, which is pulling the heat away from the CPU, and out the back of the case. So we would want the fan over here.
Yes.
So we'll ultimately figure out how that latches on there, and there's a bunch of metal bits here to do that with.
It's not very elegant. It literally clips onto these.
Yeah, I
metal
mean it's pretty
grills.
typical of these kind
Yeah,
of
it's
things,
just kinda how
but they can be a challenge to get on there. That's for sure. So we'll figure that out in a moment. Actually, maybe we should figure that out first and then run all this wire.
Yeah, might as well.
All right, so let's pull off the Band-Aid, so to speak, and see how to get this thing on. So looks like according to the manual, we have to hook this in like so. And I know this will be a little tricky to capture on camera, but trust me, it is hooking into. Oh, it just
That was easy.
went on. That was surprisingly easy. Okay, so this goes like this. It's basically a little bit of metal. You hook it into two holes in the side of the fan, and then there's a sort of a ledge on the cooler that it
Kinda
snaps into on the
cinch.
side. And when we stand it up, we'll point it out. But it's basically on. All right, so that was
Easy peasy.
not bad. All right. So
Yeah.
we're
The cooling block, unfortunately, not the coolest looking thing in the build, but
well, it will light up.
it
That the
is
thing.
covered by these now RGB fans, so we got that going for us.
Yes, and actually, yeah, it has. I believe the top of it lights up and the fan
Okay,
lights up. So
that's
we
fun.
will. Yeah. So
There are uglier ones out there.
no, this is actually going to be pretty spiffy, I think. So hold on to that if you would. Now let's figure out what we do with that stuff. So this is a little RGB control module. It looks like that comes with the cooler. I'm going to peel all this paper off it. There's it looks like a M and S button, maybe maximum speed, slow speed, could be lighting related. We'll find
be.
out later.
Who can say?
Yeah, but we will plug these two things into the two things that look like they take it.
That would
And
be
then-
these guys.
So while Matt plugs that in, this end is actually just a power connector, which is the same kind of power connector that goes onto the SSD, and we actually haven't plugged that in yet either. So we'll get to that before we're done. All right, so if you could take that. Okay, so those two are good. Now the other one that's sticking out, that's actually the speed control for the fan.
Okay.
So there should be a socket somewhere on the board that says CPU fan, and you're gonna plug that into that.
Let's go on a search. Sys fan, pump fan.
Okay. Probably my guess is going to be somewhere in this neighborhood over here.
Oh, it's actually hidden under the block here.
And it says CPU fan?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's sometimes, well, that's always convenient, right? To
Yeah.
put the header right underneath the thing that you need to mount.
It's just not hidden enough to be good.
Right, there we go. So this is actually an alternate cable that you could have used for all this, and if the motherboard
I'm also
has
going to try to hide this cable just for aesthetic
yeah, you can.
reasons. I'm going to tuck
you
it under
can,
here.
Yeah, feed it underneath the fan there, and maybe we can tuck a little bit out of the way.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to take the other pieces that we're not using, including the alternate RGB cable that we could have used, and put them away. Also put away the thermal grease. Just a heads up for people who may be new to this. This stuff will stain your clothes forever, so be careful with it. Okay. All right.
Right.
All right, Matt's neatening up in there. I'm going to just do a little bit of tidying over here myself. We don't need this anymore. This was the instructions for the CPU cooler. And this is our price list for components.
And it's in. And
It's
hidden.
in. All right, so looking good.
More
All right.
importantly, hidden.
Well, this will hide somewhere else. All right, so where do we put this? Let's see. So this big mess.
One of many.
Yeah, this
chunky
Hydra
messes.
here. We'll let's put it over here. All right. So this will look better, trust me, by the time we're done.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Asterisk on that one.
Ah, come on, have faith. We've done this before. All right, so we just got to remember that this needs to be plugged in to actually have this whole thing matter and have power. All right, so video card. This should be easy, he said. 1070 card.
Yes, we've talked about this as far as why we chose it pretty extensively at this point. If you're just tuning in, however.
Go for it.
We originally budgeted for a 1060. 1070 is frankly just a little more exciting. 1080p gaming, you can hit 60 frames on 1080p with a 1060 probably most of the time, but a 1070 gives you the extra juice, lets you play at 1440p. If you're running a dual monitor setup, it's a little better. It future-proofs you down the line so that you need a new card, you know, further in the future than you will.
I'm going to borrow that for a moment.
Take it away. And yeah, it's just kind of, it's a better card. I don't know, you can get well over 60 frames. You don't have to worry about dips. And it's probably, it's the most expensive part of this build, but also kind of the most core to what we're building, which is a good gaming PC. So we feel pretty okay about it, even though we had to make some concessions elsewhere.
Took the little brackets out of the back of the case here so that we could install the card. Good thing to do is to take the card before you install it, figure out where it's going to line up, because oftentimes you try and guess, you guess wrong. I guess wrong every time.
Yep, me too.
So I think we actually may have nailed it this time. Let's see. All right, so basically that's the PCI Express slot, or PCI Express X16 slot it's going into there. You'll notice that on this board it's actually got a metal strip around it, which keeps it sort of, keeps it protected in case you're wiggling the card around, like Matt is doing right now. All right. All right, that sounds
relatively simple.
Yeah, that sounds secure. All right, let's put a screw into it. All right, so there's a couple of screws. One thing I noticed this case does not do is have thumb screws here, which is too bad. But
We gotta use our own.
yeah, one screw, two screws. What do you think? And two screws. Why not?
Sure.
All right.
It's a fancy card. Hold it in place.
Yeah. All right. So the one thing we do have to do for the card once we've mounted it is give it power.
Yes, that would be
So
good.
we'll have to feed that from the other side. So let's do a little bit of cataloging here. Gotta get a power thing for that. We're gonna plug in the power for the lighting on this. We've got a thing hanging around here for the RGB fans in the front that we need to power. So there's 3 things, and then this needs to be plugged into something as well.
Yes.
4 things. 5 things for the SSD. So we gotta remember we have 5 things to plug in. So, all right, let's bring it up.
Getting heavier and heavier to flip it
Yes.
as we go here, but that's,
All right.
that's good. That's progress.
So let's take a look at this side first, since we're here. So this was all the stuff we shoved over here from the CPU cooler. So now we're going to go down to all this stuff that we installed for the power supply and start plugging things in. So this is a SATA connector, right? We're going to need one of those for the SSD. So let's see, do we have a second one? Oh, do we?
Oh God!
We've
Careful what you wish for.
unleashed the beast here. Let's see. So what is this? This is going to be for the video card.
Yeah.
Right, so we'll do that in a moment. So it looks like we've got 2 separate things of serial ATA here. So let's just plug this in. And
It's a good thing we got all those drives.
yep, yeah, I don't know where all this cable's going. But
This is what's nice about modular. You can kind of just
leave these out.
take these out. Like they're all meshed and funneled into the actual box. We kind of they're just going to be here dangling.
Right. Yeah. The this is going to be for the SSD. So maybe you could feed this through.
Sure. Is there anywhere?
Yeah, over here. I'm going to
bigger?
stick my fingers through. So they should be able to see on that side where my fingers are coming through.
Yep. Kind of right back where it's coming from, really.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's right. That's where the PSU is.
Yeah.
All right. So that could go back through there. Yep. I got it. All right. All right. Where's the front end? Let's see. We only want the very beginning of it. There we go. Got it. Okay. All right, I'm going to plug it in on this side. I'll turn it around in a moment and show you what we did. So that's 2 things. Let's feed through the cable for the power supply, and then we'll plug it in live afterwards. This is the power supply.
That's the.
I mean, sorry, not
that's the
power.
graphics
I'm
card.
sorry. I'm saying the power for the graphics card.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this would be. Let's put that through here if we can.
Go for it. Jam on in there.
All right. Leave that there. So that was 1, 2, 3 things. 2 more. Oh, we need we need to plug this fan in. So you know what I'm going to do? Stay there, if you would. I'm going to feed this to you. So basically, this cable that I'm going to stick out the side here and wiggle a little bit for the camera, this is going to the fan in the back of the case. This is an exhaust fan. We are going to take that and feed it through the nearest opening. How about up there?
Yep.
Okay. So that's 4 things. What's the 5th thing? It's this thing here. Okay. This here I'm going to feed back to the other side.
Okay.
So if you can grab this too.
Yep.
That's going to basically need to go into the same thing that the
This guy.
fan up here is. Yeah, so there should be what are called Molex connectors. Those are the little 4-pin old-fashioned things.
These
yeah.
guys?
Yep, yeah, so if you could plug those 2 things into Molex connectors, that would be super. All right. All right. So yeah, GTX 1070 card is in here. Just put that up there for the moment, and we'll be connecting power to that as soon as Matt's done with the Molex connectors on that
If
side.
that happens anytime soon.
All right. Yeah, sometimes those can be stubborn to go in.
Yeah, it looked like it was gonna.
Like it has like 2 pins and yeah.
Yeah, this one is 3, this one's 4. I guess.
Yeah, as long as it goes together, it's fine. Yeah.
There we go. It's
All right.
honestly needed more force than I was
Yeah, no, they always do.
anticipating.
Good luck taking them apart. I've had to use pliers to pull them apart sometimes. But yeah, you'll notice actually if you're doing anything with those kind of connectors, sometimes there's only 2 contacts inside of there, and sometimes there's 4, and you can plug a 2 contact thing into a 4 contact thing. It looks wrong, but it's right. Okay. All right. We're getting there. So this is power, right, for the full lighting thing.
Yep.
Okay. Let's turn the case around again. Move the box here.
5 wires.
Out of the way. All right. So yeah, we'll stuff all that back in there later and do a little bit of artistry on that. Let's look at this side. So what we did was we plugged power into this, which is the SSD. We're going to plug the power into the video card. If you want to, you probably have a better angle on that than I do, Matt.
Yep.
So that's an 8-pin power connector, and that's something to bear in mind if you're buying a power supply. Basically, anything that you buy these days in terms of video card is going to have most likely 2 or 1 of those types of connectors, 8-pin and 6-pin. And generally speaking, any power supply you buy new these days is going to have an appropriate matching connector. But if you're doing something like a multiple video card build where you have 2 or 3 cards in there, you got to make sure you have all the connectors and all the power specs that are needed for that many cards. So the power connectors also, they're split into.
Yeah, I keep on.
They keep on undoing themselves. Yeah. Yeah, it's an 8-pin connector, but it's split into 6 and 2 pins so that you can plug it into either kind of connector.
Then I did it once, then had it upside down, but we're.
Yep. So here's the thing. I think we're just about there. The only thing that's kind of mystifying me is this weird connector that's coming out of the front of the case here. What is that?
Yeah, I still don't know.
Yeah, I think we're gonna actually have to check the manual for that because I've never seen.
It's like a tiny little SATA, but it's from the It's from the fan.
Yeah, or something from the front panel. I'm not quite sure what that is. So why don't you show that off to the studio audience and see if any of them can identify it.
Is it just port power? Do we know what?
I don't know what you could plug it into. Let me find the manual for that. I'm just curious what it is because I mean it's pretty hard.
Can anyone identify this?
Yes, anybody in the studio audience recognize this connector? Have you seen this connector?
We're gonna put this on milk cartons.
There we go. Taking a quick look around to see if the manual's here. I'm sure the manual is somewhere in this pile of stuff.
It's in the grave.
There it is.
It's in the boneyard.
Yeah, it's in the boneyard on the floor here. It is in front of us.
Actually,
that's actually it. You don't want to see the floor here, or maybe you do. I mean, it kind of looks like wild animals ran amok here, which they did.
Which that's us.
Yeah. Let's see. Option kits. All right. So is there anything there resemble that little cable?
Nope.
No. These things need to be plugged in. We know that. Remove the panels.
Nope.
Nope.
Nope. It's not even mentioned.
Nope.
Okay.
All right. So you know what? We're not going to plug it in. We're going to see what happens. Yeah, I mean, I suspect nothing will happen.
It's not the okay. We plugged in the case fan lighting already, right?
Yeah, I think that's this. Although I fear that may be some part of it. And we're going to have a big...
It's like a power cable of some kind.
Yeah, sort of a big
I just don't know where it goes.
Yeah. Just taking a quick look at the sheet here to see what that is.
Interesting.
There's no mention of it, and that is part of the case, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I have to color myself stumped. This may be a first in terms of something in a case that I don't know what to connect it to.
It comes out up here.
Up there, yeah, in front of the...
I think it's power for the... It comes out right behind the USB ports.
I mean, it may be... Oh, wait, I know what it is. I just figured it out. This is a USB-C type 3.1 header connector. That's what it is.
Specifically for the port.
And I've seen that, and that's the thing. I've seen it on motherboards, but I've never seen it on a case.
Yeah.
So there's a USB-C port. Let me turn the case here so we can see this. So, okay, kudos to Lian Li for this. We haven't seen very many cases or aftermarket cases with a USB 3.1 Type-C connector on it. The thing is it requires, lo and behold, this thing that we haven't seen before. The question is, does this board have a port for it? It looks like it actually looks like a silver USB port. I've seen it on some higher end motherboards, and I don't think this one has it. So I think
Slight oversight by us.
yeah. I mean, of course, I don't own anything that you can actually plug into that port.
Yeah,
so
sorry if you we're gonna do this build, but you really, really love USB-C peripherals, I guess.
Yeah.
If you're in that small crossover section of that Venn diagram, then
Well, you know what they do make?
Apologies.
They make converters where you can convert that to a USB, a regular USB 3 header on the board. So that's another way that you could go about this. Now, looking in here, I realized something that we talked about way back when we started.
We still didn't plug the.
We didn't plug in the power supply cable yet,
Yes.
right? And there's a reason for that. This thing, which
This is not budget in the build. Just disclaimer. I'm putting disclaimers all over this thing. We got it. We happened to get it around the same time.
So what happened here was,
Here it is.
this is a Lian Li case. Lian
Yeah.
Li makes this case. They're a case maker. It so happens that they introduced this thing right around the time that we decided we were going to do this build, and when we contacted them, they offered to send it to us. So what is it?
So thank you, Lian Li, but an explainer is needed.
It's something called, okay, how do you pronounce that?
I would go with Strimer. but-
Strimmer,
Yeah.
streamer, misspelled streamer, maybe?
Streamer.
I'm not
Maybe
entirely
Streamer.
sure.
Yeah, it could be.
So what it is it's a, and it's a first, it's a power supply
Streamer probably makes the most sense in
Streamer?
retrospect.
streamer.
And if you take the Li, Lian Li, stream,
Li.
use the same kind of eye. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
Streamer.
Okay. Yeah, so short eye. Okay.
Yep.
Streamer. Okay, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
What it
It's-
is, it's a power supply main cable that has fiber optic lighting on it.
Yeah.
Now-
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So I'm not entirely sure that this is a good idea. We will find out when we fire it up.
But we are, make no mistake, going to use it anyway.
So I will, whoops. Okay, so there are many parts. Let's see. Let's put this on the table. We have to give this some serious thought. There's a circuit board. There's a cable. There's another cable. And then there's a bunch of fiber optic stuff. Now,
Yeah.
before we started here, I actually had to snap this all together.
Yeah, so this is like the actual cables for power is here, but there's a sort of translucent clip that you put on top of it, which is actually what's going to glow. These are just cables. This is the actual light strip over the cables. So
Right. And it has its own lovely manual.
yes, of course.
So we're going to have to follow that because I've never installed one of these before.
Sounds good.
All right, so we did part one, which is mounting the fiber optics on the outside.
Success.
Okay, Strimmer, part two, 3-button controller. So you could plug this directly into the motherboard if you have a RGB header on it. We do not have one, so we're going to use this little card thing here, which is going to complicate matters a little bit.
Yeah.
The thing is on the back of it, it says brightness, speed, and mode. So presumably you can make the thing light up in different modes just by pressing buttons on the back. So it will be a carnival when we're done.
That's the hope. That's the
That is the
dream.
hope. That is the dream. So if you want to unscrew one of these panels here, we can mount it. And while you do that, yeah, one of these expansion slots. And while you're doing that, I'm going to figure out how the heck this thing goes together. SATA power, okay. So we've got two cables we have to use here. While Matt's unscrewing that, I'm going to hook them up. One of them is a SATA cable, which is the same thing that we just used for the other lights in the case. We're going to run that. Let's see. We're going to run it somewhere in the neighborhood over here. So why don't we feed it through here? Can you see the...
Yep.
Can you grab it? I don't know. There we
You
go.
got
You
it.
got it?
No, it's good. It's tiny enough.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to plug it in on the back here. We have a couple of these connectors hanging around. I'll bring it out on the side here. I don't know if the camera will be able to catch this, but...
Just more power for the things.
Yeah, so this is power for the light that goes across that cable. Let's see. I'm doing it upside down. Okay, one cable in. Next cable is this thing, which apparently looks like it goes to the thing on the thing.
Oh,
That thing.
the thing.
Yeah.
I got you.
Okay, so this has its own power arrangement here, it looks like. Now the question is, which socket do we use? This goes into the card. Pardon me while I...
Take it away. Yeah.
yeah, it's a...
This is our experimental portion.
Yeah, this basically is going to the card. No, this part is going to the card. This part is going to the... what do you call this? This
The streamer.
Streamer?
We'll go with streamer.
Streamer. Okay, I'm going to let you pronounce it from now on
Okay.
because I can't remember.
It's the only one that makes remote sense as a name.
Right.
So I'm going with it.
All right, the streamer?
Yep.
Okay, great. So, now the reason we didn't plug this cable in is that it's coming out. And what we're going to do with the streamer is plug it into there, and then plug this into the board.
It's like so excessive.
Go for it, man.
Thus, I love it.
While you're doing that, I'm going to start putting cables in hidden places back here that no one will be able to find them.
do this.
All right.
All right.
Now, what I'm doing back is it?
Well, it's
It's
connected.
on. It's connected. Is it firmly connected on both sides?
It's not connected to the board yet.
Okay.
That
will be the
that was
trick
enough. This is so funny because it was already a bit much, and now it's just gonna like. I guess I see how it sits up. We'll see.
You want to hold the case while you do that?
Possibly.
Okay. I'm just putting the.
It's just one long arc.
Yeah, you probably need to bend. I think you could bend it. It's kind of a.
Okay, but this thing also like pops off the top, so.
Oh. Okay. Well, if you need a second hand there, let me know.
It's well, let me get it in first, and then we'll worry about that. It's not really. I just don't have a lot of room to
Maneuver.
to push this in here.
I'll hold it so you can. All right.
Maybe it's. No, it's not.
Whoops. This came off.
Ugh.
All right.
You can't get good purchase on the streamer. It turns out.
Well, you could pre-bend it, I think. There is a installation video online which I have to admit I did look at, and yeah, you can.
Using way too many instructions for my liking.
Yeah, no, I just need to sort of wing it, but yeah, I've never seen anything like that before.
I can't tell if it's in all the way. I'll be honest.
All right, well, you know that if the system doesn't boot, that's the first thing to look at.
Yes.
Question: do we have a screwdriver over there?
Yeah. You know,
Can I borrow it for a moment?
I could judge one up.
I'm basically just putting just hold the case over here if you would like.
I'm not
press against
bleeding
it.
from the streamer.
There we go.
The
You're
streamer-
bleeding.
the streamer
Oh no,
drew-
the
streamer drew first blood. It's
Oh dear. All right.
not a build till you bleed.
All right, well, yep, there we go. We'll send the bill to Lian Lee. There we go. It actually was probably not the stream. Well, actually, it's Lian Lee case too. So
Yeah.
yeah, there is that.
Yeah, it was the connector to the board.
Ah, okay.
got
Oh,
me.
interesting. You know what I'm thinking
Yeah,
we could
'cause
do?
this thing popped off.
Yeah, the other thing is we should probably have it come from around there, so it's sort of like a
Yeah.
like a rainbow type
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, that's all right. We'll figure it out in a minute. Let's get this mounted. Wow, this is a lot of cable. Yeah, this requires sort of a graduate degree in cable routing to do properly, and we will clean this up after the fact. But are you going to boot
Good,
it
just
now? Are you
stemming the flow. I got a nice cut on the wrist too. It's all good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we need to keep band-aids in the toolkit, don't we? I think last time I cut myself, right?
Yep.
It was your turn this time?
Yep, I was due.
All right, so this is the other cable from this thing that we pulled through here. So that's going in here. Okay, we will straighten out that streamer thing in a moment.
Wow, that's perfect. It's just how
right.
just how nature meant it to be.
there we go. Can you put a screw in that? If we have one. Let's see, where'd it go?
I have
Did I clean it up prematurely? Let's see.
this actually.
Yeah, that works.
I don't have a screwdriver though.
Oh, sorry. There you go. Okay, I'll be the human brace over here.
Yeah, without a magnetic screwdriver, that would have been
Yeah, it
quite
might
a difficult maneuver.
There's another one over here. Yeah,
I got it.
Oh, that one's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
All right. All good. All right. I'm gonna just do a little bit of adjustment here.
I've been handed aid from Offset.
Oh, excellent. All right. Thank you.
Praise be. It's really not for me so much as this case wasn't supposed to have blood in it. Also, I just snapped the Band-Aid in half though. So
Your superpowers there. Ah, I'm just gonna
it's over.
Now the question is, can we get this apart again and reroute this? Yes, we can. All right. All right.
Doing a DIY Band-Aid over here.
We do have lots of. I mean, you can put this over your hand if you want. You know.
I made it work.
Nah, you're good? Okay. All right. Let's feed this from the other side. So yeah, it looks like you need a lot of space for that thing to sort of arc around.
Yeah, it's
It's okay. Nothing to see here. Yeah.
Pay no attention.
Yeah.
To
All
the
right. So
crash behind the curtain.
how about we do this? I'm trying to find a place to push this through so that you can.
It's enormous.
There we go.
That works.
All right.
Perfect. just like we planned it, which we definitely did very carefully.
There we go. All right, so let me know if you need me to brace the case over here while you're
Not to get
reassembling
this part in, I don't think.
thing.
We're good. That was a good call.
All right, so that gives it some room to.
Yeah, I'm still not sure it's plugged into the motherboard all the way. That's actually what I caught myself doing. But
Okay. I think you're probably all right.
I think now it is. If there was a gap, no, there's not.
Okay, yeah. If you have to press that hard, it's probably in.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm just going to put this bracket back in here. This bracket is a little bit of a. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse.
Sure.
And I'll show why in a moment once I get it
How do you
mounted.
get this streamer clip to clip?
It's interesting. There's like a little groove along the edge, and you have to sort of slide it into the groove along the edge.
That's good enough, I guess.
Can I have the screwdriver? There's this big sort of shroud over here that is under immense pressure, and I'm trying to keep it in place. All right, there we go. Because it's got all these cables stuffed behind it, and need to give it. There we go. Okay. All right, so
Sweet.
I would give it an 80%. Cable routing job right now.
Sure.
I mean, right now we're just going to see if it's working, because when it doesn't work, we're going to take it apart and figure out what's wrong.
Inevitably.
Right. So let's get some glass on this thing and fire it up and see what happens.
Yeah.
I think we're good. Let's just do a quick pre-flight check and make sure we didn't do something dumb. I mean, we kind of did some dumb stuff.
We did plenty
in
of
here.
dumb things.
Right, but let's see. Okay, so video card's got power.
We do have this handy dandy remote for the case
Oh
lighting.
yes, the controller. Yes.
Which we thought was going to be a literal controller, like the switch, the internal thing, but this was the only thing in the box.
It's
it was literally a remote control.
Now this came with the case, right?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that's for controlling the lights in the case. All right, we'll see if it works. Let me just clear the table a little bit. Take your Band-Aids away and all this. All right. Okay.
medical aid.
The severed finger.
Thank you to the first aid team.
All right. Okay, so let's just do a quick check here. We got the video cards plugged in. We've got
This is
power.
not my favorite.
Yeah, aesthetically, that's not lovely, is it?
My favorite sort of setup.
Yeah, we can actually feed that back in,
Yeah.
and given a little bit of time and
Yeah.
effort, it actually can be.
It can look decent.
Yeah, it absolutely can.
It's not actually not the worst thing right now.
Yeah.
It's just a couple loose cables.
Yeah, this streamer cable here kind of needs some TLC, doesn't it? It's like
it was just kind of over the front. We only really kind of
Right.
realized after the fact.
So this, I think, gets it slides down.
Ah.
Right, and then you can sort of clip this on. I guess it's because you can install this in any number of cases
Sure.
and situations. But I'm not sure how it goes on. I think this has got to go all the way down.
I think, yeah, ideally too, we would have kind of ran this behind it and then,
Yeah, we can do that.
but
Because I'm
yeah.
a glutton for punishment.
yeah,
Why not, right? Could probably
can
do
kinda
that.
just hide it in the back somewhere.
How about,
Oh, he's going all out.
yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't call this exactly, perfect aesthetics, but
It's better.
it's better. Yeah,
Every bit
we'll see
helps.
what it can do. So the streamer needs a little bit of adjustment. It's clipped on in the front now. It's not clipped on in the back. So, but it looks very actually. Oh, there it goes. It's fine
Hide some
now.
SATA cables beneath the surface here.
Okay.
Pay no attention.
Yeah, the
Step out of way.
back is not perfect, but there's a couple of controllers back here that we need to leave exposed to change the lighting around. So.
All told, I've seen messier builds.
Oh yeah. All right, so let's get some glass. All right.
Threw that in some non-discrete corner.
All right. Actually, this needs to be peeled, so we get to do the cathartic glass peeling sequence now.
It's like a reward for the actual build.
And you'll notice actually that this piece of glass has a black portion on the bottom. Wow, that's really hard to do, isn't it?
Really on there.
Let me just get a grip over here.
Yeah.
I lost my grip a long time ago, but that's fine.
You can get a new handhold.
Yes, there we go. All right, so this is going over here. So this is going to go on this side of the case to hide all the cable sins that we'll show you later. Let's see. Do we have a couple of the screws over there? They're on the end of the thing over there. Maybe you could be so kind as to.
Yeah, I could do something.
All right. Throw a couple of them in there. A little bit of. Okay. These are all thumb screws and. Hey, nice. All right.
We only need 3, I
it's
say.
all right. 3's enough.
There's a crab.
There we go. Yeah, I wouldn't over tighten it because I don't know how much pressure I'm putting on it with the cables behind it. So
Sure.
yeah, whenever you're dealing with like a case with
It
metal
actually
sides,
doesn't, yeah, it doesn't look too packed.
really? It doesn't
I
look
remember when we did a
terrible.
build, we really had to.
yeah, sort of step on it to make
Yeah,
it to make it
climb
close,
back
right?
in.
Yeah. I got that screw. Okay,
Yep.
great. All right, we'll get this set up over here. All right. Okay, ready for the big peel round 2?
Oh, yes.
All
Gladly.
right. All right.
Let's make sure, you know, front and center in the camera. I guess I should do it from this corner.
Yes, let's see.
So satisfying.
There we go.
It's really on there. This is some good glue. Like tug of warring over this glass.
There we go. I've totally gunked it up inside and out now, but we will do our best to clean it up before we're done. All right, so let's see. You want to rotate this a bit, and then
Yes.
we'll do the all right, the glass thing.
Here.
So if you're doing this at a leisurely pace, definitely suggest holding this by the sides or holding it with like a towel or something.
Yeah,
of that sort.
we kind of got a little messy.
Yeah, we kind of smudged it up, but we'll get our faithful camera crew to throw us a de-schmutzing rag or something.
Yeah. De-swarther, I believe.
Yeah, de-swarther is the term?
Swarthiness is the chosen term for fingerprints.
There we go.
In this
that one for me
office.
too, actually.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm swarthy.
yeah, I'm feeling pretty swarthy at this point under the lights. All right. All right.
I'm okay.
The
Thank you.
the
extra
Band-Aid.
first aid is coming.
All right, we need
handy.
we need a de-swarthification cloth here. Oh, that was a little bit of a.
I feel like I'm at a sports game with the
Yeah.
t-shirt cannon.
This we need the swarthiness rag cannon.
Yeah,
There we go.
I'd pay for one of those.
Yeah, there we go. All right, let's clean it up a little. Now, of course, I'm doing all this thinking, it's going to boot on the first try, right?
Obviously, we're
Of
not
course
gonna
it will.
we're not going to ever have to hope in this case again.
Right. Yeah, there you go. Actually, we've ever not had it boot.
I don't know if we have. I think once it was only a temporary pause.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's not tempt fate here. I guess here. I don't know if you.
No, I think
is it looking
it's
good?
looking pretty spiffy now.
All right. So
Thanks,
we can-
team.
I don't know what the studio audience can see, but we can rotate this a bit, and we'll be told if it's not
That's the
up to
ideal,
snuff.
the ideal angle.
Let's see. Maybe I'll turn it a little bit just so we can see the front fans too, because there's supposed to be
Yeah,
some
show
RGB
off
going
the,
on there.
We'll go to the close cam for this shot.
Okay. All right. So let's get some power to this thing. Let's see.
You can kind of see this.
Okay. Behold. All right. So.
Yeah, there we go. That looks like a computer, doesn't it?
All right. So let's see what happens when we plug it in.
And the other camera has the front view of the fan. So hopefully we get a full idea. Do we have an HDMI cable for the?
We do. I have a long one that we. So we're going to see if we can get the.
We're just going to go into this giant TV instead of a monitor because YOLO.
There we go. And let's just. I'm going to go off camera here for a moment.
Do we know this is plugged
I don't know if we
in?
really need this, but
Oh, the old M key.
yes, I think it's already plugged in.
Yeah, I'm just looking which port.
So we have an RGB keyboard from Fnatic here. Fnatic spelled without an A, F-N-A-T-I-C, just because more RGB. Why not?
Should be HDMI 4.
HDMI 4.
Should be.
All right.
Because that would be a silly reason for it not to work, I feel. Is
Oh,
that
we're
we're
at
just
the
on the
wrong
wrong
input?
We're on the wrong input. So I'm going to double check that.
Okay.
Because we don't want that ruining the climactic moment.
All right.
Yes, that is indeed 4.
Okay. All right, so we have HDMI 4 hooked up there. We've got a pile of garbage below it here, which hopefully is not
attention.
visible.
Again.
And go for it, man. Let's see what happens. I'm going to get out of the shot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Look
Now
at
we're
this.
talking.
We've got some RGB going. So is everything
The case fans are going ham.
Okay. We got
Even
white.
the streamer is
Oh,
working.
the streamer is
which
streaming?
is actually
Or the Strimer is
the
streaming?
most shocking
Oh, wow.
part.
Okay. Holy camoli.
Yeah, this is, you know what? There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's see. So we do have the controller, which I guess is for the case. We can figure out what's going on with that.
Oh, yeah, that works.
All right. So is that changing the color of the front fans?
Case fans are changing.
All
I'm
right.
going to get that up for the studio audience here.
All right.
But
More the issue is we don't actually have a picture on the screen. So we're lighting up, but we're not actually delivering a
that
video
might be an
signal.
output issue.
Yeah. Right. We might need to go to DisplayPort or something.
Yeah.
That's typically what happens with these things when they don't.
I forgot about the whole, should actually be displaying portion of the event.
Right.
Auto, it just does that. Oh, there's a strip here too. I forgot about that.
Oh, really?
Oh, there we go.
That's
We're
nice.
in.
Oh, we're in. Okay. Reboot or select proper boot device. All right. So I guess we can reboot and maybe go to the BIOS and see what we got. Let's click that down there.
Oh, those lights are having
sorry to kill
those lights are having a grand old time there.
Sorry, I just killed the joy there, but let's see what happens when we go to there. So we got a good look at the front, but the it seems like the real party's on the side here, isn't it? Yeah. Let's turn it this way. Ah, there we go. Something just went by. Pro Series. Oh, so the BIOS went by. I just have to intercept it.
Those case sites are having a field day
There we go.
with themselves.
There we go. All right. So apparently you can control the rainbow cable there. The Strimer.
Streamer.
Okay. Let's see. We have a brightness button. I think I'm reducing the brightness. Somebody can tell me if it's getting any.
Hard to tell on this bright lighting, but
Yeah. There's a speed button, which
okay. Now that's a nice sort of. Oh, that's
That's
barely
slower.
moving.
that's hardly moving. Now it's like it's running, and then mode. I guess that's solid color fading into another color. Oh, okay,
That's a
we got,
thing.
Yeah, Vegas casino mode. Or even more Vegas casino mode.
Really, all Vegas casino.
Wow,
mode.
I think they actually have 3 Vegas casino modes. I'm not quite sure what that is.
Just green.
That's
Oh,
re-
it's
re-
stacking them. That's fun.
Reno mode? I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, I'm running out of modes here. Help.
Mode names.
Yeah.
Christmas mode.
Also, I guess you get.
Oh, there's a lot of things. A lot of modes.
All right, and then you can have straight
Static
color,
of every
straight
color.
color, straight color, more straight colors.
Wow,
right.
cycling all the way through this to get back to something would be.
Wow, I was going to say, it's like, I want to just go back to Vegas mode. That's kind
That's
of
good.
That works.
That's fun.
Now, apparently there's also controls which are now sealed on this side of the case for the RGB fan, which I did not set. So is it lighting up at all?
Which thing?
The CPU cooler.
Yes,
So let's
very
see
much so. It's doing a blue sort of pulsating.
thing.
Joint.
Okay. Now, this is probably wholly unnecessary, but let's see what happens.
But we're
when I press-
dedicated to the lights. Oh, we got color change on the block.
All right, tell me what it looks good.
It's orange. Is it just colors, or is it like a? That's now it's now
I don't know.
It's pulsing.
There's an M button. We could look at the instructions, or we could just play with it.
I would rather keep pushing buttons.
Yeah, let's just keep pushing buttons. Oh, we got a bright blue. I'm not sure what this does. Let's see. That's brightness, I think. Maximum.
There we go.
All right. Not sure what this is. This is S, which I'm not entirely sure what it does. Doesn't seem to be doing. So we got a fade thing going on. It might be like locking into a single color
Yeah,
or
I
something
think
of
that's
that
what it is.
sort. Yeah. So once you find one you like, you probably want to stick with it because you're going to have to take off the case side to adjust
Yeah,
this
and
unless
then
you find a better place for it.
You want it to match your case fans and
Right.
and
I mean, you
whatever.
could loop this probably outside the back of the case.
So right now you have all red, so I'll just do all red.
Want to do it all red right now? All right, cool. We'll stick with that, and then we can. Yeah, I would. If I was rewiring this, I would probably have that little module stick out the back over here, so that you could change it, without having to take the glass off.
Right, and now I made the streamer red too, and we're all red.
All right. So here's the thing. Can you reboot it and let's get into the BIOS and see what we got going on in there?
It's still waiting.
Oh, it's waiting for. Oh, it's actually at the boot screen because it's got a blank SSD trying to boot.
Yep.
So we need to intercept the BIOS when we boot. Let's do it. All right. Let's see. Where's delete? Delete or F2. Tell me if anything happens. Oh yeah, hit it again if you would. Tell me when the BIOS screen comes up.
John's just jamming out over there.
Yeah.
One-man orchestra.
How we doing?
I think you're in. Yeah, you just got something and then it went away. There we go.
Hey, there we go. All right, so let's take a quick peek in there and just see what's going on. I'm just going to put the last screw into the side of this machine here.
I'm going back to auto because it's fun.
Yeah. Whoops. Getting the. Sorry, having a little bit of case side. Ooh, that's a nasty sound. Okay. A little bit of crunch on the end of the glass here. So no harm done.
That's how you want all your glass.
yeah,
Crunchy.
so- all right. No, but it's all good. All right. So what do we got here? CPU running at 30 degrees Celsius. 2.8 gigahertz. It's detecting the CPU properly. Core i5-8400 that we put in. 8 gigs
That's
of
what we
memory.
installed, so that's good that that's what's showing up.
Yeah,
I'd
that
be
is
concerned.
a good. Yeah, sometimes parts sneak in. You got to watch for this kind of thing. And it looks like we're running at as we should be. So there we have it.
So I think that officially means we did it.
I think we did. All right. So who gets to? Can we have a tug of war for this?
for the remote. I want to make it.
So here we have it. This is our under $1,000 RGB maxed out. We probably could put some more RGB in there, right?
Yeah. There's a couple components that don't have it. The RAM's just kind of doing its own thing. I don't know if there's a separate. We'd have to, like we were saying with the ASUS sync. That's kind of how we make it play nice with the other components. But I think it's probably just going to do its own little.
Yeah, it's just being
its own little thing in there.
It's a kind of a loner rebel kind
Yeah.
of RAM.
Fortunately,
going
that
on.
sort of multicolor spectrum thing kind of works with what the fans do.
Well, frankly,
You just-
if all the other things are kind of doing their own thing
Right.
anyway, it's just kind
it's just a light show.
Yeah, pretty much. So
Yeah.
we got a carnival of a PC here under $1,000.
Yep.
So want to wrap it up, Matt?
Yeah, so thank you so much for watching. This is our $1,000 gaming build. We will have a story around this coming out as well, and we can give you a rundown of the components, what it costs, kind of our thought process going in to this build, some recommendations. You can find which components these are if you want any of them, if you like this case. If you want this to be all yours. It was a relatively straightforward and easy build, I think.
Yeah, it'll take a few hours.
Yeah.
But we did it. Yeah, and Matt will be doing a story for the PC Mag Digital Edition
Yes.
that will explain part by part why we chose what we did, and also blow by blow
Of this,
how we built this. So
this
if you
whole
want to do it
scenario.
yourself, you
Yeah.
can watch our video, or you can do it the easier way that Matt will explain
Yes.
now that we've done it.
the proper way. Yes,
Yes.
thank you so much for watching. If you stayed through for the whole thing, especially if you came and went, we still appreciate you. Leave a like, leave a comment, and thanks for tuning in. We'll
Yes.
be back with another build some other time.
Yes, before too long. Take care.